In the case of what happened with Iran, I'm just going to tell you this. I don't think the markets would be flying the way they're flying. I don't think oil would be trading down the way it's been trading down if people actually thought that this was not a successful strike. And yet you have CNN and New York Times trying to say something kind of different. Here's Donald Trump speaking with Maria Bartiromo about the issue. I want to play this for you now.
Do you think that the Iran regime hid some of the enriched uranium before the strikes?
No. You mean, did they take it out of the deep one? No.
Because you were pretty clear you can't have a weapon. You're going to have to come to the talk. Something's going to happen.
I don't think they did. No, I think, first of all, it's very hard to do. It's very dangerous to do. It's very heavy, very, very heavy. It's a very hard thing to do. Plus, we didn't give much notice because they didn't know we were coming until just, then. And nobody thought we'd go after that site because everybody said that site is impenetrable.
Because I saw reports that there were 400 kilograms, 800 pounds that they moved. Yeah. But I wonder if it's traceable. I mean, if they were to have moved
they didn't move anything.
They didn't move anything.
You know what they moved? Themselves. They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything.
One of the things that came out of that interview as well is that Donald Trump is saying, look, he could require the New York Times and CNN to divulge their sources. I bring this up because it's relevant to Hillary Clinton, right? And to AOC saying, we want to get rid of the First Amendment. We want to put people in jail. If you say something that's misinformation, disinformation. So the flip side of that, because it goes both ways, right, is it could actually hurt them as well. Now, in this particular case, Donald Trump is not saying, I'm going to put CNN in jail. I'm not going to put New York Times in jail. However, he may require them to divulge their sources. And in doing so, the source itself could wind up being in jail. Why? Because you can't actually go and leak classified information to the press. And so you can still have the freedom of the press. People can still have their opinions, but you can't take classified information, spin it however you want to spin it, and take that one out. He's sick and tired of it, furious the other day there at NATO.
This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. The original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration.
So he's making it very clear that this was as successful as we could have wanted it to be. So you got to ask yourself, why was somebody else selling something different? I mean, everybody has a point of view, right? It's one of the first things I say to myself as a reporter from all sides. Like, why is somebody doing this particular thing? Why do they want this particular narrative out there? And you should ask yourself the question of maybe they want to get us into a bigger conflict. Right? Maybe that's the goal. Who knows? Or maybe they just want to make Donald Trump look bad. Or maybe, dare I say, they want both. You have to think it through. Rubio did a great job at NATO trying to explain this to a room full of reporters who should know better, right? But are just too darn lazy. They just take whatever they're being spoon-fed and they have their own biases that are already baked in. Here's Rubio trying to explain everybody's got an agenda, and it's really important you guys be able to see through that.
Stuff about the intelligence. This is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. They read it, and then they go out and characterize it the way they want it characterized, and they're leakers. This is the game they play. So that's number one. Number two, here's a fact. The conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility. We can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map. You can't even find where it used to be because the whole thing is just blackened out. It's gone.
It's wiped out.
It's wiped out. Then we dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. And I refer you to the statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi. You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. 2 very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they are. They go out and they read this stuff and then they tell you what it says against the law. but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false. There's no way Iran comes to the table if somehow nothing had happened. This was complete and total obliteration. They're in bad shape. They are way behind today compared to where they were just 7 days ago because of what the president did.
Yeah. Again, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't even have to take the official reports or the CIA's word for it. Just look at the markets, which have been on fire, which, by the way, speaking of markets, we're fully independent here on the Trish Regan Show, and we're so proud of that. So we thank our sponsors, including American Heart for Gold. American Heart for Gold, one of our great sponsors here on the show. I'm a big believer in investing in gold, and I see gold as one of those ways to hedge out any kind of risk. Gold trading up again today at $3,306 an ounce, gain of 0.6%. I told you it was trading down last week. Don actually kept pointing that out in the chat. Oh my gosh, gold is down, gold is down. Every time it goes down, I actually buy more. So it's one of those long-term investments for me. If you're interested in investing in gold, you should give him a ring today. Call him at 1-844-495-1115. You can text Trish to 65532 today. This is for your opportunity to get up to $15,000 worth of free silver with qualifying offers. You can also go to trishlovesgold.com today. But gold is just one of those tremendous ways, I think, to kind of hedge out the inflation risk and, World War III risk and all that kind of risk that you can imagine that comes into being. But again, I go back to what's happening and I look at this market right now, which has been on fire. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 0.3%, S&P trading up better than 0.1%. Same story over on the NASDAQ. And you look at where we were back in April, you look at where we are today, and this is good, okay? This is good. I think that this particular president, with his economic policy and his desire to succeed and see this country succeed, is going to be extremely beneficial for markets and for investors and the economy overall. It's why I want you to take part in it. Go check out my research company, 76research.com. This is mine. I started it with a dear friend. You can use code word dollar. We've got lots of ideas. We had an idea recently. I keep mentioning it because it was just on top of my mind because of Father's Day, but it was up 23% and it's now continued on. It's amazing when you see all this tremendous upside we've seen in the markets, certainly since April, certainly since he started talking about tariffs in April. You now have a couple more things going on. The big, beautiful bill expected to be passed. You also have the trade deal with Canada looking like that's going to happen because Canada, they backed off, right? What did he say on Friday? We talked about this live at the top of the show. He was like, no deal, Canada. Not happening because you guys want to put a tax on our tech firms. And then Canada came back and is now saying, okay, we won't do it. We won't do it. Okay, so maybe we get a deal out of Canada too. I mean, this is good stuff. This is good stuff all around. And so again, Donald Trump saying this is a success in terms of what we saw in the strikes there on Iran. As for the media reports, again, you have freedom of the press, but if you're a government employee, you can't actually go out and leak this information to the press. And that's a very different thing than, say, Hillary Clinton trying to cut down on anybody's opinion. Hillary doesn't want you to have the opinion. You're going to go to jail if you have an opinion. AOC wants to do something to change the First Amendment, which seems to be in the way. So frightening stuff.